Hello and welcome to the second ever episode of the Save the Chat podcast with me, Michael Coburn. I'm joined by my co-hosts from across the pond in LA, Michael Boccolini and Steve Hodgetts. Hello, guys.
Hello.
Good morning.
How's things in LA?
Awful.
Awful? Fantastic.
On personal level, on public level, it's all right.
Yeah.
Well, general American disarray.
You guys you're just about to start on your show about what is it? A chef trying to get his first Michelin star? Is that right?
Oh yeah, the feature, yeah. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, we start principal photography on Thursday. So that's been a long time coming. We started this process this time last year in terms of conceptualizing it and trying to go out and find the money for it. But yeah, we finally start production this week. Very excited.
Fantastic. Well, that's great. And so, it's a feature. I thought it was a series.
Well, it might be a TV show down the line, fingers
Yeah.
crossed. But at the moment, it's a standalone feature.
Yeah.
Following one restaurant.
So it is one chef's sort of road to Michelin star, right?
Yeah, just for the feature, we thought that was going to be better.
Yeah. And what are you calling it?
Feast or famine.
Nice.
Until the sales agents decides otherwise, and then it will be whatever they call it.
What you guys are doing, like setting up a production company in LA from scratch and trying to, I mean, that could be a podcast on its own, to be honest. And I'm sure you've got a lot of stories. So feel free at any point to talk about.
Well,
how
and to be
that's
fair,
going
so
and
do
latest stuff.
So do you to a certain extent, in terms of independent filmmaking. But what is interesting is sending and having. We started with an email to strangers, and here we are. Somebody decided to invest $560,000. Well, they're putting in a little bit at a time, but in the contract it's $560. Yeah, that is fucking mad. Many times have we been in those meetings, and me and Steve looked at each other and wanted to tell them, "Are you guys sure about this?" Because they're like, we have no idea what we're doing.
Yeah,
but
and they presumably they say, "Well, you sent us the email."
Exactly. Yeah. Well, mainly was that they realized what it was, which was these guys have a great idea and they pretty much know how to execute some of the parts of it. Let's find other people. That's the general feeling. That's the general feeling.
Great. Well, but they're not wrong, though.
They're not wrong.
It is a fantastic idea. Yeah. I've not seen it before, and as soon as you guys said it to me, I was like, first of all, I was like, that's great. I will watch that. And second of all, I was like, I can't believe no one's done that. So yeah, well done, basically.
Yeah, well, thank you. We're hoping it's got some legs, this idea, which is why the TV idea, hopefully, is something that's going to be the main source of income for the next 50 years.
Yeah,
but we know.
I'm sure it's got legs.
At the moment, it's only until June, but could be next 50 years.
People.
Yeah. We won't know for a while.
People will never stop loving food. So you've got that on your side.
That is true.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we get into the film, I wanted to do some quick. Well, first of all, we have to say there's going to be spoilers in this. So anyone who doesn't want to know anything about the film M3GAN, which is what we're doing this week, switch off now. And by switch off, please just turn the sound down and keep it downloading because we need the numbers.
Yeah, please.
Second thing is to say, I wanted on a personal note, this is a minor point, but we did last week some sketches on Benoit Blanc. I convinced myself for some reason that he's from Louisiana, and that was a big part of it. And I completely made that up, so that's bullshit.
That's great.
So that's spoiled. Just in the interest of accuracy, I wanted to say that Benoit Blanc as a character is from a non-specific southern state, which I don't think is great for them to do that. He should be from somewhere specific, but he's not.
I don't think that was by choice. I think that was the last minute.
You reckon? To not offend anyone?
To not offend anyone, yeah, because it was the accent was in shambles.
There was a non-specific accent, I suppose. So
you were more,
non-specific place.
Yeah. But I think he was trying to do Louisiana, to be fair.
I thought yours.
It sounded right to me.
Yeah.
I thought yours was actually very good. I thought yours,
Thank you.
Coben, was arguably better, actually.
Well, I'll take that as a compliment. Unfortunately, that was not the point of the. It was supposed to be dodgy, but maybe I'm just too good at accents.
Wow,
You know,
that's
my bad.
intricate. Well done.
Other news. Oh, we have an email. If anyone wants to email in.
Oh, I thought somebody sent an email to us.
No,
Not
we
yet.
don't have
Okay.
any
But
emails
we
yet. I'm
have
guessing
an
we actually
email.
won't have any. Yeah, we
Registered
probably
on
won't
Gmail.
receive any emails for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to email in anyone who's listening with a question or just any insults or anything you want to say to us, the email is safechatpod@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
Just before we get into the film, just quickly, I wanted you two guys to tell me something you're watching at the moment and why.
My neighbor through the Ring camera.
Interesting.
Because he's been harassing us, and I just want to catch him out on something. And he's very aggressive, and he calls police. So because I can't do anything while he's out sweeping, because he's a fucking lunatic, I put on the microphone of the camera, and I go, and it drives him mental.
And he's the lunatic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you make little noises at him, and he doesn't know where it's coming from.
That would drive anyone up,
Yeah.
wouldn't it?
No, yeah. I think he knows it's me.
Okay,
but
so
anyway,
so you've abandoned film and TV for personal webcam spying.
I've had enough, man. Honestly, I've had enough.
Yeah.
I'm moving because of him. Quick disclaimer, but I'm not gonna get
Really?
into that. But main side. Otherwise, okay. We're not getting into art at the second, because now you want a truthful answer of what I watch, right?
I want a truthful answer, yeah. And if it's whatever it is, if it's just YouTube sketches, then just say that.
YouTube sketches. No, fuck. You know what's really gotten me lately? YouTube Shorts.
Okay.
Is really working. It's the same as Instagram, but Instagram is like projecting more stuff, and they have this thing. YouTube is like, we got a lot of shit, and now we know you, so it's just like, mwah. And because I think we're doing a lot of the Marco Pierre White thing with the film, I'm getting a lot of Marco Pierre White, Gordon Ramsay stuff.
I didn't want to out you, but I do know you're a big fan of Below Deck. So have you been?
You know what? Yes, I've had a little break because we've been shooting a lot, and we've been so the only thing I have time for is sort of the only time I have on my own is while I take a shit. I have a family. We're in between houses and working a lot. So the only really spare time I have, free time, is while I'm taking poopsie doops. And normally when I take poopsie doops, all I have time for is YouTube Shorts. And not whole ones, because after a while my wife counts and she goes, that's an unusually long time to take a poopsie doop.
Too much time in the toilet.
Yeah. My daughter comes in and puts her mouth in between at the bottom of the door. She goes, Papa, what are you doing? And even at 3, I know she's young, but even at 3, I'm quite confident she knows what I'm doing.
I don't think that goes away, because I had a similar experience, because I have a 4-year-old, and at 4, at the weekend, I went to take a shit, and I got up, and she was watching Paddington on TV, and then I heard her going, Daddy, and then she came outside the door, and I said, just go and watch Paddington for a bit. I'm just in the loo right now. I'm just in the toilet. Okay, I'll just wait here then until I was done. So I took longer than I usually would, just so next time she doesn't do that and she gets bored. But
I hear this a lot. This is not something I expected when I eventually move into having kids. Now I'm ready for the fact that they don't let you go to the toilet in peace.
No.
They're obsessed with what are you doing in there?
Well, yeah, I don't even know if it's like it's like the obviously they can't take care of themselves. Fine. My sister's friend, she went to take a shit. Her daughter was like, I'm hungry. She's like, just open the fridge. There's salami there, because she said, oh, I want a sandwich. And then her mom said, go in the fridge, just get the salami. Can you do that? And the daughter's like, I think I can do it. And she's like, well, take your shit. Yes, you can do it, baby.
Dangerous.
Went in, silence. Then all of a sudden, under the crack of the door, because that's the only way they can the slice of salami, as if she had the bread in the toilet and she could sort the rest. And I think that's the thing with kids, is that they just go, I climbed a little mountain. Yeah. And that's big for them. Yeah. But all the other mountains are yours, and it doesn't matter how you feel and we love being parents. That's being said. Oh, yeah. Has it been said? It's said now.
Yeah. It hasn't been said so far.
Right, fair enough. Then I'll say it.
On record.
Sorry.
So in summary, you both love being parents.
But basically, what we're saying is the only solace you get in the toilet. That's not even an opportunity to have some alone time.
Not even. So essentially, the solution to that is to get a completely soundproof toilet.
That's an interesting way of looking at it. A very Michael Colburn way of looking at it. And you know what? Number one, probably not. You shouldn't babysit children. Number two, I wish I had the balls. I wish I had the ball. Because out of sight, out of mind. Out of sight,
exactly.
Probably gonna die. But
yeah,
feels good.
Because I think that's a brilliant solution, actually. However, the consequences of that, you might do that and let's say you spend 15 minutes, but you come out.
Oh my God.
And then the fridge moment, the 4-year-old would be under the fridge. It would have toppled over.
Yeah. Steve, what have you been watching recently?
What have I been watching? I think, God, I did a film on Saturday evening with my girlfriend called After Sun, which has Paul Mescal in it and a brilliant little actress. It's a Scottish film. It's like a BFI Screen Scotland movie, which actually he's been nominated for an Oscar from it. I mean, he's very, very good in it, but he only has about 20 lines. I mean, he's the main part, but it's quite art housey, and it's a lot of sort of wide shots of them on holiday. It's sort of a father-daughter relationship movie, but it's bloody good, and I do recommend it.
Okay.
Quite sad as well.
What's it called?
After Sun. Yeah, very sad actually. So
yeah, someone recommended that to me the other day. Yeah, I'm gonna stick that on the list. So it's like a very low budget Scottish film. That's
it's probably quite, I imagine it's quite low budget. Yeah, it's sort of they're in the noughties in a Turkish resort, and some of it's done via found footage that they took at the time with his daughter. But he's sort of suffering from mental illness, and it's sort of coming of age tale for her. But he's brilliant in it. It's just quite sad. So, if you want to have a little cry, like I did, go for it. Go for it.
All right, that's good. Quick recommendation for people, because some people do want to watch a film to have a little cry. Let's be honest,
Yeah, well, sometimes when these Oscar films come out, I sort of look at them because they're a bit like broccoli in a way. You feel the need to watch them.
Yeah.
And some of them I don't really like, but this one was excellent. But yeah, it seemed quite low budget. Presumably Mescal was paid a handsome fee, but everything else was pretty cheap. I say cheap. It was probably about £2 million.
Okay, well that's still relatively cheap.
Yeah.
Well, back on the subject of kids kind of leads quite nicely into our film for this week. The film is M3GAN, and part of it's well, let's get into what it's technically is, because it's marketed as a sci-fi horror. But having looked into it a little bit in terms of what the filmmakers intended, they wanted to be kind of comedic as well. So that's where I want to start. What genre would you place it at if you'd never heard what they wanted to market it as?
To call it a horror, I think, is an insult for a start, because for me it was almost a children's film. It was a young adult movie. I get the sci-fi part of it, but it was very comedic. but not in a very good way. It seemed to just be ridiculous, and it crossed the ridiculous line far too many times for me to take it at all seriously. So it was in this really odd space of nothing. You know, and I think honestly, I think it was just designed for 12-year-olds personally, and they did a job with that because they made some money on it. But it wasn't designed for anyone other than that age category.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's done incredibly well, and it's another reminder of how powerful horror still is in terms of, you know, if you're a filmmaker, you'd be silly to not look at that in terms of something you want to, you know, give a go. The budget was 12 million, and the box office 165 million so far.
Yeah, and still going. Yeah,
Still going.
they'll probably get a nice chunk of change for streaming.
Yeah. So in terms of profit margin, I mean, that's unbelievable still. That and horror never fails to sort of bring people to the cinema, which is nice on its own. Even if you don't like the horror, which again I agree with you, I was a bit confused by the tone of this, and I wouldn't really. It doesn't really satisfy you as a horror fan or a comedy fan, and I think they were trying to mix too many things, and and they didn't really set it up as a comedy. But then the more ridiculous it got, you're kind of like, oh, is this? Am I supposed to be laughing? Because I kind of am, but I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be, because it wasn't like a, you know, you think of comedy horror as much more obvious.
Yeah.
And you have these laugh out loud moments, these sort of parody moments, but this was just odd. I felt.
Was he part of the writing? The man, I love him so much. The dude, he's on the
James Wan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fuck, he's so funny.
James Wan of all the Saw franchise. Well, at least the first.
Oh no, that's the director. Yes, sorry. No, I meant the actor.
No, James Wan's the producer. Ronnie Cheng was David
just
character.
the most racist set of 10 seconds just happened right now.
Well, listen. If you've got,
just FYI, my wife is Asian.
Yeah.
Not sure that my daughter's Asian.
I think it's fine. I think you just confused names. There's nothing racist about that. But also, if you had your one page up, which I sent you, then you would know all these things.
No, exactly.
So maybe get that up. Get that up now.
Fucking
CEO of the company.
That's it.
Yeah.
Fucking
Ronnie
hilarious.
Cheng.
Honestly, incredible stand-up. I mean, he does the Daily Show, whatever it's called, but fucking
Crazy
incredible
Rich Asians.
stand-up. Oh, it's ringing. Yeah, and it was fun. The whole film was kind of. It felt like they were like, okay, let's do a horror, but whoever wrote it has a solid comedy bone. And then there were producers that said good, but also for 12-year-olds.
Yes. Well, it was written by a woman called Akila Cooper, who, before this, she was a producer on Luke Cage series, a producer on Witches of East End, a writer for *Malignant*. She also was a co-executive producer of the new Star Trek series *Strange New Worlds*, which I actually think is pretty good. She started on American Horror Story.
Oh, okay.
So that she does have a horror background. And I read up a little bit on her. She's very much a fan of like these kind of B-movie horrors. So you can see that a little bit in this.
Yeah, and also, you know, that she has some good experience. I mean, it's very competent, I suppose, like structurally or whatever, but it's just incredibly wacky. But that's quite interesting that she already has a young adult background in terms of her content.
Yes.
And you mentioned *Malignant*, which is the other James Wan sort of wacky comedy disguised as a horror.
And he did, if I'm not mistaken, I should have put this on the thing. I think he did Annabelle, the other, like
did he?
The doll horror, yeah.
Right, that's from the Conjuring franchise, isn't it? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, if he didn't, I'll add a little fact check in there, but I'm pretty sure he was on Annabelle. So I guess this is the thing, it's following up on these Chucky, Annabelle's type films, these sort of possessed doll type horrors, but it's giving it a modern spin. So there's nothing supernatural in this. It's just a kind of
cautionary tale about AI.
Exactly.
It's insane how that subgenre of crazed doll just keeps going. Like, people are obsessed by it. And I agree, it's nice that they added in a modern twist with it being AI, not just some demon possessing a little doll. But
it is, yes, it is interesting, partly because now we got to the point with AI where you can sort of believe it.
true.
It's another one, weirdly, that, you know, similarly to the one we did for the first episode, which was Glass Onion, very, very good Rotten Tomatoes score, which I guess maybe we have to start looking into not trusting Rotten Tomatoes, as a lot of people already say, but it's 94% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which,
lower on IMDb, though.
Is it?
Yeah,
maybe
6
IMDb
on
is
IMDb.
more. Would you guys say IMDb is more trustworthy?
No, I
at
think
this
it's
point?
the people as well, and also I think Rotten Tomato will always have the younger audience. I guess I don't know. I don't know
But it's not the audience score; it's the critic score.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll say this though: if we'd received that script, out of all the scripts we get, we'd go, oh, we'd put some good money into this, into getting the script optioned. Just because it's just like, it ticks all the boxes. It's new. It had a specific genre. I don't know if it ended up being a specific genre, but add a couple of names to it. They don't even need to be too big, which, with all due respect. But yeah, I'm not. I don't. And critics, I definitely don't trust.
No.
Yeah.
No. But it's kind of interesting. I mean, the market to which it was aimed at is interesting in itself because, you know, on the one sheet, it's that the original cut was too violent and they had to reshoot it so they could secure a PG-13 rating, which is really interesting because that would have been an executive decision at Blumhouse, I suppose, or Universal, who said, well, we know we can make more money if the 12-year-olds go see this. And they were right.
Exactly.
Because that's exactly
they were totally right.
the people who are enjoying this film. I think any sort of, you know, horror fan who goes and sees this, yeah, they might think it's like, oh, it's quite an enjoyable ride for 90 minutes at best. But I can't imagine this is going to go down in the canon of classic horror movies. It's purely for young boys and girls.
Yeah, that's right. And this is because most horror fans, you would say would say keep the gore in, but you're right. They clearly made the right decision. I can't imagine it would have made more than 200 million if they'd kept the gore in. So yeah, they did the right thing, I guess. Another couple of interesting things I thought about it were the fact that the M3GAN character was done puppets, animatronics, and a real girl with a mask on.
Yeah.
And obviously you can see that in some points, just like when she's dancing and stuff. This Amy Donald, who plays the body of M3GAN, it's like a ballerina, and so they employed her. So actually, all the stuff she does is real, like those stunts where she's like lifting herself off the ground from her feet and stuff. And she learned to run on all fours. So that's all real when she's doing it. Yeah, running through the forest chasing that kid. She actually did all that stuff.
I didn't. Running on all fours is interesting.
Yeah. Do you remember that bit?
It was almost a bit like a Exorcist style girl.
Exactly. When she's running through the forest. But this is again one of those points where I was like, I mean, it looks. Am I supposed to be laughing at this because it's freaky? But it's not. You know,
but
I think that was one of the bits they thought was funny, but it was hard to work out which bits they thought were funny.
And another thing that I'm realizing now as we're making these shit films, but at least it's like sometimes they get it wrong. So like the normal instinct for an audience member is go, oh, what was the intention behind this? Because it couldn't be that, so it must have been this, but it also could just be a wrong, or it's just all they had. Or out of what they had, that was it. Or I do have to say this though, from a packaging point of view, all of that stuff, execution, tone, yeah.
Well, that's the thing though, isn't it? Because I think if the reshoot thing is maybe telling of their intention originally, but if their intention was to make the film that they made, then they're geniuses.
Right.
Because they made a bunch of money out of
Yeah.
it, and they marketed it really well, and already the sequel's been announced and all these things.
Really?
Yeah, which is mad because so that's, now it's just going to be a franchise. They're going to hold,
Yeah.
Megan is going to be a great kids Halloween outfit. All these things they think about.
Because she turned into
Yeah.
an Alexa at the end.
Well, interestingly, that's exactly what the writer said was the original thought behind the film. Was what if you could, could Alexa look after your kid if you gave it a robot body?
Honestly, I would
and-
do it and take that opportunity in a second.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask you that, like, having charge of children yourselves, like, that must be very tempting.
Well, if we're on the toilet,
Yeah.
Megan could just look
Yeah.
after them
Fuck yeah.
straight up.
Yeah.
Also, if I'm not on the toilet,
Yeah, that's true as well.
you know, I got child disclaimer to child services. Anything that we're saying right now is not rooted in reality in any way, shape, or form.
Hypothetical.
All
It's
hypotheticals.
It's purely the deepest wishes of your heart. It's not something that's actually happening.
Our opinions
That's
might
it.
not be our own.
Yeah, even the heart's fictional thoughts. But yeah, which is why I think that was the as a parent, the first bit was actually the most terrifying because I was like, oh, man, do you know how much parents also patch it together? Because it's tough. It's so difficult. But we don't have enough we have enough tools to ruin them by all means, but we don't have enough tools to make, like, imagine if we had that remote and click, right? 90% of people's lives on Earth would be ruined. Right? So if we had that sort of technology, we can just fast forward, most people would take it, and no one, our brain we don't comprehend anything apart from whatever we feel there and then. And what we feel there and then or here and now, most of us are a little bit depressed or sad or we're lacking something. And then add a fucking that you're taking care of a child, because then it's not about, ooh, what's best for my child. No, it's convenience.
Well, exactly, and that's part of the point of the whole theme of this film is the cautionary tale of how much, the M3GAN is just an embodiment of, the iPad essentially. How much screen time do you give your kids?
Right.
How much do they get attached to their gadgets, and can you pull them away from them and this is a thing apparently that's a big deal for most parents these days, that some kids get so attached to their gadgets that they throw an absolute fit when you try and take them away from them, which is what happened in this. Obviously she developed this is heightened because there's many reasons why she developed such a close attachment to this doll, and actually of course she did. If little girls had robot dolls they could play with and dance with, that's probably all they would do all day. And then it would become, well, actually they would get more attached to their dolls than their parents. So do you restrict your kids with their screen time and stuff? Do you worry about that stuff?
I do, yeah, a lot actually, a lot. I mean, Kennedy is 10 and she's got a phone now, and the phone really is just to be used after school on pickups or emergencies and etc. But the reality is she's using it all the time. So we're already talking about putting in screen time limitations and all the rest of it. But with her iPad that she's had since she was 5 or whatever, she is on it so much because her friends are, right? And so there's a game called Roblox and they're all online, and if she's not online, then it's the same mentality if when we were kids, or maybe I had MSN Messenger, the like live chat, and if your friends were on it after school, you'd want to be on it too because you feel left out. So you have like
We had IRC 10 years earlier.
IRC, exactly.
IRC, I don't remember that.
IRC was like the same as that, but it was just like, it felt like you were a coder because it looked like
HTML.
Yeah. You could contact anyone.
Yeah.
I mean, I was personally much more into the online gaming, but even from when I was like 14, 15, I used to play sort of Duke Nukem online with friends and stuff. So it was less chat for me and more games. But similarly, that's what I did. And if my friends were all online playing, I would feel really left out.
That's the thing.
And so it's all heightened these days. I mean, being a kid these days is difficult enough with all that stuff. But like, yeah, so they really are going to get very attached.
So when you start being, if you're strict about it, you almost feel like you're withdrawing them from a social activity. It's not just mindlessly scrolling stuff. It's actually sociable, some of it, if it's gaming online. So if they're chatting to their friends after school, like even maybe our parents did on the phone, on the landline after school. You know what I mean? It's just you're engaging your time in social activity, so it's just a slightly different version of it. But at the same time, you feel your eyes are going to go square and all that malarkey. But something still feels bad. So I just go, well, I know it's bad, so I'm just going to think it's okay, and then I'm going to feel bad about it. That's how I choose to move forward. Like everything that's convenient, you just go for it because it is convenient at times.
Yeah.
And then I just choose to feel bad about it.
Yeah.
But it's tough.
And
Yeah.
so well, it's a lose-lose because otherwise, the alternative, I guess, is you stop them doing it and then you feel bad about it as well.
Not 24/7, sure, but yeah, no, exactly. There's a balance, isn't there, somewhere?
Because there's not enough hours in a day. That's the truth. I saw this interview where these parents were asking the psychiatrist, what should I do with my kids to keep them stimulated and not need to... And then the psychiatrist kept saying, yeah, just be there and listen. These parents are like, yeah, I don't think you understand. We're competing with an iPad. What can we do? What sort of jumping jacks or what language? And she's just be there and try and listen. Keep saying that. Stop saying that. Tell us what to do. And now I understand her because it's true. Like when Mimi was a baby or even like still a toddler, they can fucking tell, man, when you're doing something else. And after a while, that iPad, goes both ways. It worked. But then after a while, like Kennedy, now it's like you say, it's not your choice and you don't want her on it anymore. But I know that Mimi, because of how much she's on the phone, maybe at a certain point, it's not a choice anymore. I feel like I still have that choice though. Because if I go, hey, a little birdie here, she goes, oh, cool. She puts it down. But then later, and then like you said, with friends, fuck me. And then they all play the same game and blah, blah, blah. But
do you think it's something that gets worse with age or better?
Well, I think it's just habit. So once it's habit and then social construct and then whatever the social... Do you finish it? Amazing. Great. Then, with age, then it's like whatever is in their environment, that's gonna be tough to fight. I don't know how you do that because you can't say, oh, she's in the wrong crowd of fucking kids that are on the iPads.
They're all doing it.
Yeah. But I do think, there's rules. I'm an old school dude from the countryside, and I like to go to the mountains, and we do that. And then that's what you do. And if a certain point, I know she's going to hate me for it. Do I have the stamina and the strength to just when you're trying to do something that's the best for a human being and they just go, I fucking hate you. Fuck, I hate you.
Yeah.
It has to come down to that balance, isn't it? Because you can't take it away from them completely. But I remember even my dad when I was a kid going, all right, he's coming out with some fresh air.
Right.
Him always saying the term fresh air. Because we were glued to video games or TV, right, and stuff, and it was always fresh air. And that sounded incredibly
boring,
dull. Oh my god! Because to a kid it is dull.
That's why, like, if we can create, like, for example, find a sport that they like, or something that is, because also the human mind, sure, it's not like it was created for iPads. It was created to move and eat and shit and adrenaline.
Well, yeah. But it's weird because it's both, isn't it? Because essentially it's just heightened social interaction. It's just that this through electronics. So really we are very much tuned to social interaction. That's where we get a lot of our like self-worth. We get our status from where are you online? Have you said something funny? Do people think that's good? Are you involved?
Yeah.
And it's like constant involvement. But maybe you're right. The best way, rather than saying like daily, you've got rules on this screen time, it's more like, do what you want every 3 weeks. You have a weekend where there's nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Something like that. Exactly. Whatever makes sense.
And most likely by the end of it, you'll enjoy it because I know how the human brain is. So it's impossible for you not to enjoy, helping someone out. Never done that. It was funny with my niece. I did this. She was so spoiled. So I was like, at Christmas, we're going to a fucking orphanage, and you're having a look, because they're really struggling, and you're giving them some dolls. She's like, I don't want to give the dolls. You have too much. I wasn't even the father. But anyway, my sister let me do it because she couldn't fucking deal with it anymore. So she went to the shopping mall. Anyway, so I went down. We bought a bunch of toys that she didn't, dolls that she didn't like anymore. Went down. She started giving them away. She was 6 at the time. By the end of it, she's like, I want to give more toys. Amazing. You also have to challenge yourself, because we're not perfect either. God, we suck so bad. So that's the thing as well, which is why I think after yeah,
I guess, well, that's the point of the Gemma character in a way. That's the adult that's kind of sucking at things and not knowing how to deal with kids and what the right thing to do. And that's not even her kid. So it's like she doesn't even feel that responsible for her, but she's still wondering whether she should, so she creates this doll thinking it's going to be good for her. And then obviously it goes wrong, not in the way that she could have predicted. Although I want to get into that a little bit, because she's supposed to be a sort of AI expert.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
And she gives it this like basic programming of like, protect this child at all costs. It's like, well, what could go wrong with that? And so I didn't buy her character as some kind of robotics genius. I have to say, like, they could have added a couple of scenes where she's showing why she's ahead of the game. Like she what maybe they could have added a scene with her co-workers where she's going off on one and they don't even understand what she's talking about because she's such a genius or something like that. But,
at the baseline, the intention I think was clear, and it didn't really develop any further. Again, because I think it was more or less created for a younger audience. I honestly think they probably thought, well, we could develop that, but we're not doing that kind of film ultimately. Even though I'm sure it crossed their mind. Let's just keep things simple. And the message did come across, to be fair, of parent wanting to do something that they believed was right, but it ended up not being right.
Yeah.
And it was technology related. Yeah.
From a sort of acting and directing point of view, what did you think of the performances?
I thought they were all pretty serviceable performances. Yeah, nothing incredibly standout, but nothing poor.
I did think that the kid Katie, Violet McGraw, I think she's going to be a pretty sensational actress.
Yeah, that's not easy to do at that age. Yeah.
There are a couple of scenes where I was like, wow, she really nailed that. That was a really kind of hard scene for a 9-year-old to do, and she's nailed that. She was very believable. I think she was probably the best in the cast if I had to pick one.
Yeah, and also Alison Williams she was in Get Out, wasn't she? She was the main in Get Out. I recognised her from that.
Oh yeah, she's the girlfriend in Get Out.
Another Blumhouse veteran.
Right.
She's always very good in everything she does, to be fair.
She is. I think it was the characters are tough as well, because they're like, they served such a specific purpose, and it wasn't like, this journey, this human journey. It was just like create things that would serve the plot to make us feel at the edge of our seat.
Exactly, which is an extension of what we just mentioned. So I think they were kind of vessels in that respect, just to
bit two-dimensional. But I suppose in a horror, that's quite common.
Yeah, quite common.
It's not really about character development.
Yeah.
No, apart from if you have like the Midsummer or Hereditary, where we're following this one person. But clearly, like you said, that's not what we're trying to do now. I wonder if they could have done it with the mom, because there is a lot, like with what we just talked about being parents now. There's probably something to explore with that. But again, easier said than done. We have the script. Does it work? Because the thing is, like, the scripts, that's where it starts. Right.
But they could have, I agree, actually, because that is they could have developed those characters, particularly the mum or the stepmom or the sister, to encapsulate all the things we've been talking about. But instead they chose, because there are moments in the film which couldn't, like the bit where one of the colleagues is trying to steal all the M3GAN data to sort of sell on to other companies. There were scenes like that which just came and went, and was never really explained again. You know, there's a bit when he's in the cafeteria and he's like quickly downloading all the M3GAN files.
Oh yeah.
And then they sort of just didn't ever come back to that in any way. He just died at the end. M3GAN killed him. Okay, maybe because part of the intention from her side was don't steal my data. But
yeah, I think that's it. To show that she is beyond just Katie and Gemma triangle. She's like, don't fuck with any of us.
Yeah.
And we'll multiply like a virus.
But I think, you know, they could have added on another 20 minutes of all the things we've been talking about of character development.
It's true.
Then again, the executives at Warner Brothers or wherever it was from would have said, it makes it too long. We need to 12-year-old guy.
Yeah.
90 minutes. 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Also, I'd say that's why I think it's so tailor-made for 12-year-olds, because if we're talking about this as, oh, no, this is social commentary about what's going to happen with humanity and our relationship to AI, fuck. Let's have a look at the Japanese. Like, they're so much further ahead of us, and they've tried a bunch of shit out already, and they really have the knowledge on how it affects kids for sure, but especially adults.
Yeah, well, that's, I guess, another reason why this is the perfect film at the perfect time, but it's why it's made so much money, because it's such a topic at the moment with all this chat GPT stuff and the advances that they're making in AI. Like, everyone seems to be saying that's in the next 10 years we're going to be completely blown away by the things that they can do.
Yeah.
So maybe this type of thing is not even that far away. Cool. Okay. Well, I mean, I think so in terms of, I know the Rotten Tomato score again is massively high. What would you guys give this out of 10? Save the chat score.
Should we do one as producers and one as audience, or no? It doesn't matter.
Interesting.
No,
because you are both. So whatever score you give is as both.
It will be two different ones. As producer, like high up.
Yeah.
High up. That's my way. High up. As audience, man, I was actually hoping for more, but I think I'm biased because I'm a parent and I wanted to see more of that. In terms of like being on the edge of my seat, I'll pick other films.
But in terms of a recommendation for other people, just overall,
I would give it, because I agree, I think it deserves a higher one as a producer, but as an audience member, I think I would give it a 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah, struggle to say the 7.
I can't go to 7 just because of lots of the reasons we've discussed, but I appreciate being a product, a commercial product, big time.
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot, actually, more than anything else.
Clear vision.
Yes.
Clear vision, exactly. And you know, horror, I mean, it's obviously scary, is it? But I suppose, you know, for some 12-year-old girls and boys, of course, it is.
Well, exactly. That's what I was going to say. Yeah. So 6.5, 6 for you, Boccolini, did you say?
I think 6, just because it was a clear cop-out. It was like, oh, no, we're doing the PG-13 thing. So then it's like, okay, so now it's just like technical.
Yeah, well, exactly. I guess that's what it comes down to, because for me, the main disappointment was that it didn't really deliver any scares. But I guess when you're 12, it probably did. Yeah. So yeah, and so for me, it was like, it didn't really deliver on the drama because you got no character development. It didn't deliver on the scares because there's no real horror, and it didn't deliver on the comedy because none of it's particularly funny. So you're kind of left with this middle of the road thing, which for us, I guess, is the thing, 6 as well. But maybe for a 12-year-old, they love it, and clearly the numbers would suggest that.
Yeah. Which is fair.
Yeah, it's more a commercial piece, isn't it? And the Halloween outfits are going to sell in their millions. So Universal will be getting a nice little back end from that in October.
Yeah. And that'll set up nicely for a sequel as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for that. That's I thought that was interesting as well, because it's interesting to hear it from parents' point of views as well, because I did wonder how that hit home to people with kids, and maybe that's where the adult audience got very invested as well.
Man, scary as fuck. If the best film the best version of this for parents, not for 12-year-olds, fair enough, and not even just for adults, but just for parents, would be solely like take the woman from Hereditary, have the same kind of amount of focus on that first main character, and have her struggle a bunch in her life while debating using this as a tool and then realizing that it's too late.
Well, that's a fair point. I mean, if they used similar plot devices to M3GAN, but actually included Tony Collette's character from Hereditary with the same tone as Hereditary, yeah, that would have been really interesting.
I think that's what I was hoping it was going to be. Yeah.
To the demise of the parent, ultimately.
But okay, well, so basically sixes across the board.
Yeah. What do you say, Michael?
6. Yeah, 6 as well. Yeah, because I can't give it a 7, and 5 seems harsh. So six seems right. So if you are listening and you want to email anything in, suggestions of what we should cover, anything really, yes. Again, that's savethechatpod@gmail.com. So thank you for joining me, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Pleasure as always.
And I will see you next Monday.
Indeed.
Thanks, man.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Bye.